March 1st, 2025. I have just concluded pretty disastrous winter full of colds, flus, covids and other training interruptions. My current FTP is 248 watts and I'm getting wrecked in any race I enter. Fast forward to present, November 17th, 2025. I am training consistently, hard. When entering a race I frequently finish on podium and my FTP is 311 watts. Compared to March, that's a 25% increase. And in this video I would like to tell you what did I do to make that happen. If you frequent my content, you know I've already made a video about this, and if you didn't see that one, I would suggest you to watch it first. But it was mainly talking about general changes, my weight loss, my mindset, stuff like that. I would like to do this one differently and show you the specifics. How did I ramp up the training, how do I train, what kind of workouts I do, stuff like that. And I think I first need to talk about training volume. As obvious as it sounds, that's a major part of training really. The more you ride, the better you will ultimately get. And let me first show you the per month summary of my training. You can see here how low my training was at the start of the year compared to what it's now. Especially in February and March combined, I did about half of what I've just done in October. Take a look at the numbers of rides in March and now the amount of riding in October. And it might be even more obvious on this chart. The black line is the training load, which is the daily average for the last 42 days, whereas the blue lines are the individual workouts. And you can see that in March that black line was somewhere in the 30s, whereas now it is basically at all times high, around 80. Yes, I basically tripled my training load in the last 8 months. In late August it was even higher, but then I left for a 2-week vacation in the States which decreased my training load heavily. It is now, however, basically where it was before, and don't forget, the current training load average takes those 2 weeks of zeros into consideration, which means that I am actually training more now than I did before. And that's the takeaway number 1. If you want to improve your FTP, simply ride more. The second thing I need to speak about is the training distribution. It is not only how much you ride, but also how do you ride. This chart right here shows the power distribution of all my rides since March the 1st, and you can see that most of my riding revolves somewhere slightly below 200 watts, which is basically the core of my zone 2. There is obviously a little bit of spice above that and also a pretty good portion of very low power riding. That, to be exact, is the coasting in races, free spinning as a part of cooldown, stuff like that. Takeaway number 2, do a lot of riding in zone 2. And the third piece of the puzzle is consistency. You've already seen how did my riding in March look like. The calendar had so many holes in it, it could basically cosplay as a block of Swiss cheese. Whereas since June, I've missed only 18 days of riding. 17 was when I was on the holidays and 1 after I got my flu shot. Besides that, I've been riding every single day. Now, that's all well and good, but I assume you want to really see in detail how does my training plan look like and what kind of workouts I do. As you may or may not know, I use Xert as my training platform of choice. And currently my training plan does not look like it usually does, as I am preparing for next year's L'Etape by Tour de France, so I have a climber focus selected. But usually when my main training focus are Zwift races, I tend to have my focus selected at 5 or 6 minute power, as I really feel that's the most important duration for Zwift races. And when you create a training plan like this, Xert basically populates your calendar with planned training doses. These are not workouts just yet, they are basically just prescriptions about how much should you do and at what intensities. The way it works is Xert prescribes you one of 3 possible options for each day. The first is a rest day. You can approach this in one of 2 ways. Either you actually do nothing and rest, which is perfectly fine. But like I said, I like to ride every day. It helps me stay focused on the training, but on those days I really ride easy, so about 30 to 45 minutes in zone 1, easy spinning in free ride. The second possible option is a low intensity training. This is no longer an optional day, but it is still supposed to be fairly easy. Not just spinning your legs easy, but doing a kind of power that you can maintain basically forever. I like to treat those as quality, sort of comfortably uncomfortable rides, which to me is the top end of zone 2 or occasionally bottom of zone 3. I'm still riding at a power that I could keep for a very long time, but it's not like I'm enjoying myself. I really try to maximize the training adaptation for the time spent. I like to do these in erg mode to really force myself to that high zone 2 power, and the easiest way to do that in Exert is to generate yourself a personalized workout. You do that by clicking on those little stars underneath your prescribed training load, making sure Autogen is selected and then clicking on Save. Exert now generates you an erg workout that is made specifically for your prescribed daily dose and automatically uploads it to Zwift for you to ride. These workouts are also one of the 2 use cases when I use my heart rate. I do not ride by it, but I'm always watching it to make sure it does not go beyond like 145 to 150. If it does, it suggests to me I'm tired and I may set a little bit of a negative training compensation. And the third possibility that Exert can prescribe you is high intensity training. And once again, you can approach these in 2 different ways. The first one is similar to what I just showed you. You can generate yourself what Exert calls Magic Buckets workout. Once again, you click on those little stars, but now the process is slightly different. You need to pick your challenge level. What challenge level does is it basically plays with the number and duration of your intervals, as well as intensity and duration of your recoveries. The higher the challenge level, the shorter and more efficient the workout is going to be, but the more it's going to hurt. So pick wisely and once again, hit save. And once again, it appears in your calendar and also as a structured workout on Zwift. But usually I try to race instead of doing these workouts. It is more fun, you still get a fantastic training dose, and I even feel that racing better riders can really help you push yourself and accelerate your growth. It's either one or another though, so whenever I race, I skip the workout, and naturally, when I do the workout, I do not race. Most weeks I do at least 1 race, but I really try to do 2 or 3 because it is just training with the best ratio of fun and benefit, and let's speak openly, if the training isn't fun, it's not going to be sustainable. So I've been racing consistently since March, but there were 3 events that really accelerated my growth. Sisu Pinky, Sisu Tour and FRR Tour Britannia. All of those were stage races where you really needed to push yourself. In both Sisu events there were mass starts and I was really trying to stay with the best riders for as long as possible before I eventually got dropped. In Pinky it was to maximize my chances at general classification, whereas in Sisu Tour I was focusing on the sprint classification and I needed to stay with the fast guys to really maximize my speed in the sprint. Although they were both brutal, after both these events I found my fitness to jump up by a huge block. FRR Tour Britannia was the most recent one and it was structured somewhat differently than Sisu races. I was fighting for the general classification, but only within my own category. That didn't make it easier though. With 8 races in 9 days, it was by far the hardest racing series I've done so far, and I can only again feel my fitness growing after it. Racing is also the second place where I use my heart rate data. Here it is not to somehow pace myself or modulate my effort. After all, racing is racing and your effort largely depends on what others do, but I use it to confirm my feelings. When I feel bad during a race, I glance at my heart rate to make sure if what I'm feeling is reality or just a product of my brain. And that's all there was to it. Training volume, distribution and consistency are the 3 big things my improvement revolved around, but obviously I couldn't improve without other and better riders pushing me forward. But like I said at the beginning, there was way more there was to my improvement and I talked about it in this video right here.